Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Neuraleaf team, we'd like to welcome you to our patient webinar series, My Journey with Relivion. I'm Rajiv Kotari, Senior Marketing Manager, and your host. So let's, before we get into everything here and we give a little bit more time for people, I just wanted to quickly give a primer on Relivion. With Relivion, it's the first and only wearable at-home therapy to stimulate the two major nerve pathways associated with migraine pain. How it does that is by harnessing the body's natural electricity, normalizing neurological function, and providing a new kind of relief from migraine pain and associated symptoms. And this is all without systemic side effects. What makes Relivion unique is that it directly targets the two major nerves to normalize the brain's electrical pathways. And you'll be able to see here, we have 4 electrodes on the front for the trigeminal nerve and 2 on the rear for the occipital. So this is stimulating directly those nerve pathways. And what we've heard from patients is this distributed stimulation actually is very comfortable compared to other migraine devices. So Relivion's got a lot of different features of it as well because it's a larger therapy. And this therapy includes the device, a patient app, and our physician dashboard, which all work together to improve your management of migraine disease. These are just some of the benefits here, but what you'll see is that we have the device, the app where we'll collect your data, you'll input your own data, and then it's shared to your physician through a dashboard where they can help optimize your care. This gives you an opportunity to work together in your medical journey and how to best improve your migraine management. So our clinical data has always shown Relivion's effectiveness to patients. This data is great to share, and I'm sure many other devices will point to their clinical outcomes. But today we're going to really focus on the patient story and have them share their real life experience. And also, before we get started, for those that are existing Relivion patients, we actually released a new version of our patient app. So you can find it on the App Store. It's got some great new features there. And we're excited to constantly improve our technology to be the best it can be. So today we have our guest speaker, Damiera Cruz. Damiera, are you there?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to the webinar today. I'm really excited to share a little bit about my migraines and how Relivion has honestly changed my life. And if you can flip the slide, please, Raheem. So before we talk about the nitty-gritty of Relivion, I just wanted to get into what my experience was like before migraines. So I'm currently a college student, but before being a college student with a brain injury, I was much like your typical college student. Well, college athlete, that is. I adopted the philosophy of work hard, play hard. My days were filled with classes, events with friends, practice, and everything under the sun. It felt like I could do everything with just a little bit of coffee and make it through the day. Like there was no sleep. It was just go, 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 go. But then it happened. Flip slide. On October 19th, 2021, after an unfortunate accident, a teammate had tried carrying me up the stairs and she had slipped and I had fallen off her back and hit the back of my head. I found out that I had a traumatic brain injury after what seemed like a million doctor's appointments and ER visits. And suddenly my experience seemed to be so much different. It seemed like college, which was so normal for me, seems atypical. College didn't seem to be made for brain injured people. Everything seemed to give me headaches. Light gave me headaches, sound gave me headaches, focusing gave me headaches, stimulation gave me headaches. The only thing I felt like I could do was sit in a dark room and pray that my migraine would ease up. Flip slides, please. So going through this process, I kind of didn't know where to start. I'm down here in San Diego alone for the most part. Like my parents are up north. So I had to be the one to take charge of my medical decisions. And so being young, one of the things that I wanted to prioritize in my health journey was using treatments that didn't have negative effects either in the short term or long term. So for example, I didn't want to take medications that I would likely be addicted to in the short term and or that would harm other parts of my body in a longer term. So I opted for a more natural approach to treating my migraines. So my doctors recommended stuff like the anti-inflammatory diet, supplements like boswellia and exogenol, fish oil. Also huge are things like osteopathic manipulation, acupuncture. And then we also have a mix of the more traditional medical treatments such as SPG blocks or trigger point injections. And then I have a few medications here, Depakote and a bupivacaine spray when things are a little bit more intense. But I've found out of my whole arsenal of treatments that Relivion is the most effective. Consistently, when I have a headache at the highest level, it can bring down my headaches 4 or 5 points, which, if any of you know, is crazy. It's like life changing. It can go from ending your day with a migraine to being able to do just a little bit more. And can you flip the slide, please? And so I want to backtrack now on how I got to Relivion. And so I got it to Relivion by my pain medicine doctor. He was an innovator. He is an innovator in the field. And he actually had done a demonstration with Relivion himself and really enjoyed how it felt and the technology behind it. So he started to prescribe it. And so based on the intensity and frequency of my headache, he suggested, hey, let's just give this a try. And again, I was really into trying things that, haven't been tried. Like Relivion is FDA approved, but I was really into trying things that were atypical in a sense. That wasn't just the medication. So I was really just open to that. So I was like, yeah, sure, let's give it a try. And he suggested 20 minutes at night and 40 minutes at the start of any headaches or during an acute session. And so, as you can see later, this individual in the photo is an example of a rep who's helping in a training video. And can we please flip the slide again? So after my doctor prescribed Relivion, I had a rep from Relivion call to collect payment and my shipping information. He was also very kind and patient with explaining how Relivion worked, answering any questions I had, and just walking me through the process. So the general process was after putting down the payment, which was, I believe, a 2-month trial, I could choose whether or not I wanted to continue with Relivion. But then she also scheduled a training video or a training session. During the session, we ensured that I had the Relivion sitting just right. So you want to place the Relivion. Fortunately, I don't have mine on me right now. Just right above your eyebrows and above the bump on the back of your head. And as you can see in the second photo on the bottom, you want to make sure that those pads are really, really wet. And then we went over going through the app and what all the different things meant. And she showed me, like, for example, as Ryan mentioned earlier, the dashboard showing like how often you get migraines and what are typical causes. And we ran through my first session together. So it was really helpful to have someone actually walk you through and kind of non-judgmentally answer any of those questions that I may have thought were silly, because I felt like the learning curve was a lot less steeper. And what's also awesome is if I forgot anything on the Relivion app, there's a section dedicated to showing you how to do those things again. And flip slide, please. Yeah, so Relivion in action. As I mentioned earlier, this is the top bullet point is what my doctor prescribed, but I often use it at least once a day, if not twice, because again, being in school is really brain intensive. So I still get pretty bad migraines daily. And being in San Diego, it's very sunny, like today. And so I use my Relivion super often. I usually keep it in my work bag or my backpack or anything. It's like a travel necessity for me. And so what Relivion feels like is often a very common thing that my friends like to ask. If you all are familiar with a TENS unit, it feels like a TENS unit on your head. It's not like as squishy or as slimy. It's like this nice kind of wet sensation. And it's like a soft massage, and you can turn up and the intensity up and down. And what's great about it too is on the app, you can mention where exactly the headache is. And based on that, Relivion will focus on targeting those areas. So it's not just a random approach. It really is getting into the pain point, which is great for me. And so some pro tips that I've learned just for being a Relivion patient a little over a year now is don't forget to change out your pads often. So as you can see kind of here on the image, there are white pads that you have to wet because that's how you get the electrical stimulation. And you're supposed to change them out, I believe, every 5 uses, sometimes a little bit more. And yeah, don't forget to change them out often and to prevent like buildup of calcium. Use a Q-tip to swap the inside of the crevice where the pads sit. And yeah, next slide, please. And so as I wrap up here, my advice for everyone else here on the call, whether existing patients or prospective new patients, is to be bold about wearing your Relivion. So this photo here is actually me sitting in one of the main pods with what I like to call my photophobia glasses. If you can see, it's quite closer to a pair of scuba goggles than it is sunglasses and my Relivion. I found that a lot of people, like at first, being a college student, I was worried that people would judge me for wearing the Relivion, but I found it was the opposite. People thought it was super cool. They said I looked like I was in Star Trek or Star Wars, and professors were even really open to me sitting in class with it on because it's quiet, it's silent, it allows me to sit in class longer, and they were just curious on what it was, and they liked learning about this new thing. And so to me, it's absolutely worth it to wear it in public. I mean, I feel like it does take a little bit of time, but just knowing that it's not as bad as you think. If I can do it on a college campus, you can do it anywhere. It's just, that's my probably my biggest takeaway. And then my second one would be, don't be afraid to ask for help if you have any questions whatsoever. The Relivion team is amazing. They're so quick at getting back to you, whether it be through email, text, or call. They will usually get back to you within less than a day and would be more than happy to set up a Teams call and walk you through anything you don't understand and just answer any question whatsoever. If you, like, for example, a few times I'm like, hey, I misplaced a part. Can I get a new part? They would be more than happy to provide that. So those were my main 2 things. And then I just say lastly, if you're still on the fence, I'd just say try it. I didn't fully know what I was getting myself into. I mean, I understood the technology, but it's a whole different thing to know about the technology than to actually use the device. So I feel like if you're on the fence, just try it, because you won't know until you try it, if you like it or if it's working. And so, yeah, that's all I had for you all today. So thank you again.